Lesson 11. Posture. Optimum posture and postural imbalances. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to describe optimum posture and identify and describe the muscle imbalances associated with common postural abnormalities and explain how they may be corrected. What is posture? Posture is simply another word for position. It is the position we hold ourselves when we are standing, when we're seated, lying, and when we move. Good posture is a position that places the least stress on the joints and allows us to move in a way that is pain-free and efficient. Good posture involves training ourselves to stand, to walk, to sit, or to lie in a position that places the least strain on all the supporting muscles and ligaments during movement and at rest. So what is ideal posture? Ideal posture is a neutral alignment of the spine where the spine is holding its natural curves. When viewed from the side, a plumb line would pass through the midline of the ear, through the centre of the shoulder, through the centre of the hip joint, just behind the kneecap, and just in front of the ankle joint. Very few people have this perfect posture. Our daily habits and movement patterns will all influence how we hold ourselves. So if we spend a lot of time sitting down, or if when we're standing we place our weight on one hip, or if we wear high-heeled shoes for long periods of time, if we use a computer for work, and if our workstation heights are at the incorrect height, all of these things will have an influence on how we are holding ourselves, which in turn then will affect our posture. Even throughout our lifespan, various factors will influence posture. For example, during childhood, a child who carries a heavy school bag to school every day, this will influence their posture. During pregnancy, when our centre of gravity shifts, our posture is pulled out of alignment. And as we get older, the structural deterioration of muscles, ligaments, joints as a result of conditions such as arthritis or osteoporosis, all of these will affect our posture. And unless we do something to counteract the effects, postural imbalances then can develop. These postural imbalances can cause excessive tension to develop in muscle groups. This in turn can produce joint strain, it can cause the ligaments to become stretched, and it can cause damage to the cartilage of the joints. Over time then, this can cause pain to develop, particularly back pain, and there's also an increased risk of injury. So if we can identify specific postural imbalances, and if we can correct the muscles that are affected, we can then lower the risk of injury and of developing back pain in the future. So let's now look at some of the more common postural abnormalities. Kyphosis. Kyphosis is an excessive curvature of the thoracic curve with convexity to the rear. The left image is a neutral curvature of the thoracic spine. The right-hand image here has this excessive curvature of the upper back, and this is typical of kyphosis. It could be due to a weakness of the anterior neck muscles, they're the muscles at the front of the neck, or the upper back muscles, in which case this would be considered postural kyphosis. Or it could also be due to metabolic disease, in which case then it is structural. If it's postural kyphosis, it can be corrected by appropriate exercise and then also maintaining good postural practices. The muscles that need to be strengthened are the mid-trapezius and the rhomboids, whereas the pectoralis major and anterior deltoid muscles need to be stretched. Awareness of good posture then is also very important in correcting kyphosis. So ensuring that workstations are at the correct height, computer monitors, chair height, positioning of keyboards should all be given attention, and then better awareness of posture at all times. If kyphosis is structural, for example due to deterioration because of disease such as osteoporosis, which may cause the vertebra of the thoracic spine to crumble, then in those instances medical intervention may be required. Lordosis, this is an increased curvature of the lower back. Again, on the left we have normal curvature of the lower back, and on the right hand side here we have this increased curvature of the lower spine. This increased curvature is caused by an anterior tilt of the pelvis. Anterior tilt means that the pelvis tilts forward. So this condition is often accompanied by a protruding abdomen as well as the buttocks, and kyphosis may be present as well. This anterior tilt may be caused by weak abdominals, weak and tight back extensors, so that would be the erector spinae, as well as weak and tight hamstrings and tight hip flexors. Tight quads could also cause the knees to become hyperextended, and this could also cause the pelvis to tilt forward. Lordosis can also be caused by metabolic disease. In order to prevent and correct lordosis, there are a number of things that you can do. First of all, sleep on your side with your knees curled up. This helps to stretch the lower back. Activate abdominals during all activities as well as while exercising. Maintain a healthy weight. Being overweight, and especially if that weight is carried around your middle, puts more stress on the lumbar region. Wear low-heeled shoes, ideally 1.5 to 2 inches. The muscles that need to be strengthened are the abdominals, the back extensors, and the hamstrings. Muscles that need to be stretched are again the back extensors and hamstrings, as well as the hip flexors. Scoliosis. Scoliosis is a C or an S-shaped curvature of the spine when viewed from the rear. Scoliosis is more commonly a structural defect, so for this reason all children are checked for it before they leave national school, because in order to correct it, surgical intervention needs to be carried out at an early stage. However, it can also be postural. Postural scoliosis could result from poor habits like sitting with one leg tucked underneath you, or if somebody is constantly carrying a heavy bag on one shoulder, which could cause the body to curve to one side. Postural scoliosis can be corrected by exercise by stretching the muscles on the closed side of the curve. The muscles then on the opposite side need to be strengthened. Other postural abnormalities then include forward head, and this is when the head is extended forward out of alignment with the shoulders. So on the right here we have a normal alignment of the head where the ear is directly over the shoulder, whereas on the left here we can see where the head is being carried forward and the ear is now in front of the shoulder. So this is usually in association with kyphosis also, and it's generally caused by long and weak anterior neck muscles, so the muscles at the front of the neck are long and weak, and then the muscles at the posterior neck are short and tight. Rounded shoulders is another common postural defect. The tips of the shoulders curve inwards towards the chest and the scapula will be winged, and this means that the scapula are quite visible behind, particularly when somebody performs a pushing action. Another indication of rounded shoulders is when you view the person's posture from the front, and with the person standing upright with their arms by their sides, you will notice that the knuckles are facing forward and the palms are facing backwards. The muscle imbalance that may cause rounded shoulders would be short and tight pectoralis major and long and weak rhomboids and mid-trapezius. So this can then be corrected by stretching the pectoral muscles and by strengthening the rhomboids and mid-traps. Flat foot. This will usually be in conjunction with pronation of the ankle. In other words, the ankle falls inwards. If somebody has flat foot, the natural arch of the foot is no longer present. And you can check for this by getting your client to stand with wet feet on the floor or on a piece of kitchen paper. And the imprint of the sole of the foot will then be visible. So on the left here, number 1 would be an image of a flat foot where the full sole of the foot is visible. Number 2 in the middle is a normal arch, whereas number 3 is a high arch. And this would be indicative of supination of the ankle, and this is where the ankle falls outwards. Bow legs and knock knees. Bow legs occurs when there is a space of 5 centimeters or more between the knees when the feet are together. So it looks like a banana-like curve of the tibia. And finally, knock knees, and this occurs when there's a space of 5 centimeters or more between the feet when the knees are together. So it looks as if the legs are splayed from the knees downwards. To check your knowledge of posture and postural abnormalities, click on the button here for a quiz.